What could be more annoying than playing against someone who has little to nothing to lose? Their team isn't dependent on them to be the biggest contributor on either end of the floor. Honestly, even if they don't record a single stat, their team could still win the game with little to no problem. These players understood their role well and more often than not would excel in the biggest moments to relieve pressure off the rest of the team. I always like to label these types of players as disruptors. The job of a disruptor is to be a wrench in the game plans of the opposing team, to either help carry the momentum that the first unit created or cause chaos to swing momentum in their team's favor. A disruptor's job could be to up the physicality and aggressiveness on defense to get in the heads of the opponents, or it could be hitting a clutch shot that stabs the heart of the opponents. Time and time again, we've seen just how important disruptors become in the postseason. It's almost impossible to game plan for these types of players because they're always capable of delivering that knockout punch that you won't see coming. Back in 2015, while up 2-1 in the finals versus Golden State, I'm certain that no one on the Cavs or in the world expected Andre Iguodala to average 20 points on 48% field goal shooting, 7 rebounds, and 2 steals for the next 3 games and secure the finals MVP. Without Iguodala's offensive efficiency and his prowess on the defensive end, this series easily could have had a different result. Let's go back even further though, all the way back to the 90s to one of the most controversial disruptors in NBA history. Regardless how you feel about Dennis Rodman and all of his antics, you can never deny his tenacity as a rebounder. He was called the Worm for a reason. Trying to keep him away from a loose ball on the court was like trying to keep a moth away from a flame. At only 6'7" as a primary rebounder, Rodman managed to average 5+ offensive rebounds and 9+ defensive rebounds per game for 7 straight seasons. From his first season in San Antonio to his last season with Chicago, each of those teams that Rodman was a part of always top 5 in net rating. During the 96 championship run with the Bulls, Rodman was averaging 14 total rebounds per game. His ability to snag boards would limit possessions for opponents on defense and create more scoring opportunities for his teammates on offense. The fact that Rodman could party in Las Vegas for a day and come back with no practice but still give you a solid 8 points and 16 rebounds was insane. Even though Rodman is a 5-time NBA champ, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time All-NBA, 8-time All-Defense, 7-time rebound leader, and a Hall of Famer, he didn't have an exciting playstyle, so he could easily be forgotten in this day and age. Since he played alongside more popular stars like Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and David Robinson, his contributions won't receive the same level of glaze as his fellow Hall of Famers. In the early 2000s, Robert Horry was also a part of a magical 3-peat championship run. Horry was never a high-volume scorer, but his points will always come at the right time where his team needed him the most. Big Shot Rob was the perfect name for him because his ability to focus down the stretch and demoralize opponents with his clutch shots was unlike any other. He was the type of player who was almost forgotten about until the postseason came around. It seemed like he was able to reach another level in the playoffs and elevate his game on both ends. His ability to be a versatile defender didn't really get talked about too much. In his first 3 postseasons with Houston, he averaged 2 steals and 1 block per game, but in the 4th season, he jumped up to 3 steals and 2 blocks per game, all while averaging 10+ points during this time. One of his biggest clutch shots he drained in his career was the first round of the 2002 playoffs when he knocked down a corner 3 to send the Trailblazers home after 3 games. When playing next to big names like Hakeem Olajuwon, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Tim Duncan, etc., it's not hard to see why Horry flew under the radar. The 7-time NBA champ won multiple championships for each team he played for and proved that the timing of your contributions on the court are more important than the amount of time you spend on the court. He's also the perfect counter to the ring culture argument that compares players based off of how many rings they've won. So if Jordan is better than LeBron because he has more rings, does that mean Horry is better than both of them? When we look ahead to the mid-2010s, the Warriors dynasty was beginning to take over the NBA. They not only had Andre Iguodala out there disrupting things on the court, but Draymond Green was solidifying himself as a defense leader out there as well. Green is only the 2nd player ever to average 10 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 block, and 1 steal per game in the playoffs twice. During the Warriors versus the Cavaliers finals rivalry, Green became one of the biggest pests towards LeBron James. Either he was trash talking in his ear, being super physical, or just refusing to give him any space to catch his breath, anything to get inside his head. Kids these days would consider Draymond to be a crash out because he isn't afraid to send a verbal or a physical message at any point in the game. As his offensive production began to decrease after their third championship, he began to focus most of his energy on the defensive end and being a more vocal leader. He had no problem expressing his frustration to the refs this year, as he was third for most in texts in the regular season and first in the postseason. The four-time NBA champion, nine-time All-Defense, two-time All-NBA, 2016-2017 Defensive Player of the Year, and steals leader, ran with Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and Klay Thompson. But his defense and his mental games allow him to set himself apart from the rest. Some of his methods on the floor are a bit questionable, but if Draymond is able to rage bait you, it could disrupt your team's entire game plan. In our current decade, there's an outstanding role player who helped Bron get his latest championship and who just helped OKC win their first ring in franchise history. Alex Caruso is one of those players that you have to watch live because his stats aren't usually anything noteworthy. Unless you peep his plus-minus numbers, this tells the story of Caruso's undeniable effort on the court. The plus-minus stat simply measures a player's impact on the game by noting the point differential of their team while they're on the court. In the Lakers' first-round matchup versus the Trailblazers in the 2020 postseason, Caruso was +5 or higher in all 5 games of this series when he was on the court. In the first game of the finals versus Miami, Caruso was +12, and in the closeout game, it was a dominant +20 whenever he was on the floor. 5 years later, Caruso stepped up in the biggest game in OKC Thunder history and more than proved his worth. His pesky defense made Jokic look very uncomfortable in a high-stakes Game 7 situation. Jokic only ended up taking 9 field goal attempts and had 5 turnovers as the Nuggets as a whole were just out of sync. Yeah, Caruso had 11 points and 3 steals, but his team being +40 when he's on the floor should receive the highest praise. Caruso reminds me of an updated version of Tony Allen, a pesky point of attack defender that can shut down your best player any night and leaves everything out there on the floor. Both have averaged 2 steals and a block during the postseason run, but Caruso was able to stretch the floor for his team by being a respectable 40% three-point shooter. The 2-time NBA champion and 2-time All-Defense team members' contributions will most likely be overshadowed by the greatness of LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The evenly matched Indiana Pacers gave OKC a run for their ring with the emergence of TJ McConnell. McConnell's job was to disrupt the opponent's defense by speeding up the pace or maintaining a high-paced offensive attack. This keeps defenders off balance and doesn't allow them to get comfortable in their sets. His signature move is a quick run along the baseline to cause miscommunication between defenders or to open up an easy layup under the basket. While playing 18 minutes a game in this year's postseason, he averaged 10 points, 1 steal, and 4 assists, all while shooting 54% from the field. With Halliburton being out all next season, his role will only increase, and I wonder if he'll be able to lead them on another deep postseason run. The Phoenix Suns are doing everything they can this offseason to not waste any more years of Devin Booker's prime, while also trying to get back to the finals. They traded KD to the Rockets and received a key player that may just help them return to glory. Dylan, the villain, Brooks, doesn't back down from anyone, and he even attempted to rattle King James in a first-round matchup versus the Lakers. Although it didn't end well, and Brooks was blamed for Memphis losing that series, the test of time proved that Brooks wasn't a problem after all. The 22-23 All-Defense team member excels at getting in the head of your star player and disrupting their rhythm. Not to mention he averaged 14 points on 43% shooting from the field as well. The future of the Atlanta Hawks just got a lot brighter, especially on the defensive end. Dyson Daniels has quickly become one of the best defenders in the NBA, while also more than doubling his points per game as well. He's a 6'8" point of attack defender with an almost 7-foot wingspan that is a hawk in the passing lanes. The 24-25 All-Defense team member led the league with 443 deflections and also led with 229 steals this season. Daniels averaging 3 steals per game is the most since Alvin Robertson back in the 90-91 season. I'm sure he'll be disrupting game plans for the next decade or so.